This is the Parrot Anafi, and it's not just some new travel drone. This is a drone that could change the whole drone industry because it's not made by DJI. This is perhaps the last major competitor who could take on DJI. So let's find out if it's actually better than the Mavic Air. Hear that? Super quiet, right? And check out these hand launches. This is the perfect day to test it because there must be 30-mile-an-hour winds happening, and I am a little concerned about its performance, but so far it's doing awesome. The winds here are about as high as you're ever going to want to fly in. And check this out, it has a digital 1.4 zoom even when you're filming in 4K. And if you're filming in HD, you can zoom even further. Why is this important? Because you can't always just get closer, but it's not just about moving closer to the subject. Zooms allow you to control the perspective of the foreground and the background. This is something you learn when you study composition, and that's why I'm so excited about it. No other drone can do this. So what does that mean to me as somebody who makes videos for a living? It means I can do things like a nice orbit and a zoom at the same time. But that's not the coolest thing about the Parrot. The coolest thing about the Parrot is that it can look upward, and that's amazing. That opens up a world of possibilities. Let's check it out. Okay, that was a little unsteady. Whew, it's really getting blown around. So I'm not moving the Parrot right now. It should be trying to hold steady, but you can see it's really struggling. Like, it doesn't hold as steady as the Mavic Air does. And that means you have to be a pretty good pilot with pretty good reflexes. It also doesn't hand land quite as nicely as the Mavic Air does. But it does hand land. By the way, this thing has the best drone controller I've ever used. The knobs here are nice and big and much easier to control precisely, and it's helping me get smoother, more usable shots. Mounting my phone on the controller is much easier on the Parrot, and I prefer the phone mounted to the top rather than below like it is on the Mavic. We're using firmware 1.0.1, which fixes many problems you might have seen in earlier reviews. It also has basically an active track-like feature where it will follow you. You do have to buy it separately. It's an in-app purchase, but it was only 99 cents when I got it. All right, so let's try this out. We'll do the hand launch again, which is really nice when you are surrounded by sand like this. Here I go. Swing this around me. See if it can follow me backwards. The follow me feature worked awesome, and I could control the drone and pivot around or go up, and it kept the subject centered, moving the gimbal or adjusting the turn of the drone perfectly to keep the subject in the frame. It's not going to work if I run under trees or something comes between me and it. It doesn't do a great job of that, but then again, neither does DJI. So I actually feel like the follow me worked a little bit better than the DJI feature. Should say these aren't our only tests. I've been using this drone for at least 3 weeks now in the real world. This is just me trying to demonstrate some of this stuff for you. So now I'm going to demonstrate some of the weaknesses, which are the signal reach, the distance you can fly, and the speed of it, where it doesn't quite match up with the Mavic Air. Let's head out to that far shore and see if we can get some of those homes. Put that into sport mode, hit record. It says it's going 11 meters per second. It doesn't have imperial units for some reason. I'm at 430 yards and I'm getting the move your drone closer warning. This is with my phone in airplane mode, but then again, my watch might also be interfering with it. What do you know, I took my watch off, it had Wi-Fi going, and now it looks like I have a little more range. Okay, so that got me just to about 500 yards, about a quarter of a mile. Okay, well now it's at 760 yards and I can't see it, so I'm getting nervous. I'm gonna bring it back. Going with the wind, I'm getting about 45 miles an hour out of it. If you're concerned about disturbing people with the buzzy noise of the drone, like people's top complaints, this is definitely the drone to get. It's about 1/4 the noise volume of the Mavic Air. And in fact, it has to be maybe 20 feet away from me before I can even hear it over these waves. I have to do the little calibration dance because it's saying there's a compass error. Now it's saying no battery is detected. But it's showing me the video, but it's saying no battery is detected. This is kind of like classic DJI flakiness, and I can't say that the Anafi doesn't have that. Like, I don't know, because I haven't used it as long as this, but I will say it's about 1 out of 3 times that any of my DJI drones, they just flake out for one reason or another, and that can mean I just don't get the shot that day. God damn it, compass error again. Another compass error, I cannot take off. I'm gonna have to recalibrate it again. The old calibration dance, total beach fun.
The Anafi video is smooth, even flying upwind at top speed. When flying the Mavic upwind in sport mode, the Mavic's limited gimbal tilt completely ruined my shots. The props got in the shot too. I know many of you are saying, hey, fly slower, fly downwind. If you're just a drone geek, that will work fine for you. But if you're a creator and you need a low-angle tracking shot of a motorboat moving upwind, the Anafi can do that. The Mavic can't. Neither can the Mavic Pro, neither can the Phantom. We reshot these tests the next day and the Mavic Air needed to be recalibrated again, and it also reported a problem with the motor. To top it off, one of the Mavic Air's video files was corrupted and unreadable. Reviewers rarely mention these types of problems since we're likely to assume that it's an anomaly, but our real-world experience with 7 DJI drones is that these types of problems are really common.
Look what happens as soon as I try to move forward against the wind. It has to change the complete composition of my shot. So it might be a little faster, but I can't actually get usable footage out of it.
Though the Mavic Air was rated to go faster, the speed of the 2 drones was about the same for us, and in fact the Parrot was often faster. Certainly the Parrot produced more usable footage at high speed because the Mavic Air kept getting props in the shot. The rated range of the 2 drones is about the same, but the Anafi started losing signal at about half a mile away, while the Mavic Air never lost signal, even at a mile away. You won't get that far away if you don't have a clear line of sight or if you're in an urban area with Wi-Fi interference. If that sounds like you, better pick up the Mavic Air, or better yet the Mavic Pro, which uses the more powerful OcuSync control technology. We didn't notice a significant difference in 4K video footage quality. If you shoot slow motion, the Mavic Air supports 2.7K at 60 frames per second or 1080 at 120. The Anafi can only do 1080 at 60. The Mavic Air has a 3-axis gimbal while the Anafi is only 2-axis, and it uses electronic stabilization for the 3rd axis. The footage from the Anafi looks so good though, even in high winds, that we're not deducting any points.
So what's the Parrot like to travel with? It's not bad at all. It easily fits in my bag, or just about any backpack, but it is noticeably bigger than the Mavic Air, which is the closest competitor. You can see the Parrot is quite a bit longer than the Air, but it's narrower. The weight, you probably would never notice a difference. You'll also see that the controllers are different sizes. Again, this is a big win for the Mavic Air. The Parrot controller is pretty big and chunky. The Mavic Air controller is quite a bit smaller. And the little knobs come off on the Mavic Air controller, whereas they do not come off on the Parrot controller. But I really prefer using the Parrot controller, so I think I'd still rather tolerate traveling with a little bit of extra bulk. Here's where the Parrot really wins. The battery's USB charge directly. You can plug it in just like you do your phone. With the Mavic Air, I have to travel with this big old controller and cables, and if I go to a different country, I'm gonna need to bring and adapter. The fact that the Anafi USB charges is a pretty big deal if you use it like a travel drone, which is the way it's intended. If you're going from one spot to another, you can top off the battery between destinations just using your regular car phone charger. And that means you might not need to buy an extra $100 battery. Thank you, Parrot, for making it USB chargeable.
The Anafi's USB charging is convenient but slow, taking between an hour and a half and 4 hours. If you just charge overnight, that's not going to be a problem. The Mavic Air battery charges in about an hour, so if you're trying to recycle your batteries and get back up in the air, you might be happier with that.
So what do you get if you're looking for a travel drone? The Parrot Anafi here is $700, and right now the Mavic Air is $800, so the Anafi is cheaper, but it feels cheaper too. The Mavic Air feels like a nice luxury sports car, and this feels kind of you go from the 80s-ish, but it works just fine, and that's kind of what I care about more. In fact, if you're the type who's actually making videos, like you have a vision that you want to accomplish, the little rotating gimbal on the Parrot opens up a world of possibilities. While the Mavic Air can be your aerial shot or maybe your boom shot, the Parrot can be your dolly shot. It can get low and shoot up, meaning you can get a whole bunch more shots shooting close to the ground than you ever could with the Mavic Air. It's the difference between getting a shot or not getting a shot, and that can be a big win for the Anafi. The battery life on the Anafi is a little bit better. The range on the Mavic Air is a little better, but the range on both of them seems to be fine. The Mavic Air has lots of third-party apps that you can run in coordination with the DJI software, but the Anafi doesn't bother you with no-fly zones, at least not right now, though maybe it should. Here's a big one: the Mavic Air has obstacle avoidance, forward and backwards, but it's actually not that great. I've still managed to crash it into trees plenty of times, and it doesn't see anything side to side, which is kind of when you need it, when you're doing things like automatic orbits. The Anafi completely lacks obstacle avoidance, so you need to trust yourself as a pilot. You need to be sure that you keep the drone in eyesight all the time. As far as the video quality goes, I really didn't see a difference that would make me choose one or the other. The Anafi will also never ruin your shot by getting the props in the shot. You can see these arms are nice and far out there, and the props are nice and small. With the Mavic Air, if you have the gimbal tilted up and you're flying into the wind, you'll frequently get the props in the shot, and that will ruin the shot. It means you won't get that shot. You'll have to pick a different angle. The Anafi also supports HDR video. Not like proper HDR video, but it will basically compress the highlights and shadows so you can get everything in one shot without needing extra grading. With the Mavic Air, you'd have to use a flat profile and try to grade it later, and we always find that's a lot of trouble. So I think that HDR video is actually useful on the Anafi, and it looks pretty good. The family and I are going out to Norway in just a week, and they're drone friendly, so I want to travel with a drone, and I'm going to travel with the Anafi. And the Mavic is going to stay here. And if you're shopping for a drone, you might want to make the same choice, especially if you're serious about your video and your composition. And hey, if you really get serious, check out my free Part 107 certification. That'll get you professionally certified to fly and make money in the United States. Subscribe to see more drone reviews, and we already have a bunch of drone tutorials that'll help you get the most out of it, fly it really well and safely, and get amazing shots. If you have follow-up questions or comments with your own experiences, why you chose one or the other, I'd love to see it in the comments down below. Just no fanboyism, okay? Thanks, bye.